Hello everybody. My name is Michael, and I want to say welcome back, but welcome to somebody for the first time. And for the lesson today, well, reviewing the basics, but this might be the first time for some of you, so we can take it slow and kind of adjust the pace however needed. So to start with, let's see, our basics. We've got 4 topics for today. Hopefully we have time to get to all of them. Should be all right. So I'll do an introduction of me. I want to talk about money, which we touched on a little bit before, but this time I brought the real thing so we can look at money from Japan and kind of get a feel for it. And then we're going to cover katakana, which is the chart you might have in front of you. And then we're going to talk about a holiday in Japan that's coming up. It's called Skimu. So to get started. I'm Michael, and as Cheryl said, I lived in Japan for 2 years, 2019 to 2021, really prime COVID years. So I had the country all to myself. It was a unique experience, I think. I was teaching English through the JET program, which is like the official government teacher exchange program. And I was in Onomichi, so Onomichi City in Hiroshima Prefecture. So if you've heard of Hiroshima, the city, I was actually like on the far end here. You can see Hiroshima is here on this pin, and Onomichi is like kind of all the way at the very corner. So I was about an hour and a half away by train from the big city. But Onomichi is still a city about the same size as Roanoke city and county. So not too small. And I have visited on the bottom here 19 of the 47 prefectures of Japan. So I'd like to think that I'm a little well traveled within the country, but there's only as far as I could drive in my car, my little tiny car. So I haven't gone really far to the north, and I haven't explored much to the south, but that middle bit, I'm all about it. I know it like the back of my head, hopefully. The area in Onomichi, the area that Onomichi is in, is within this little inland sea right here. So if you kind of got an image of Japan that it's a lot of like tsunami risk and earthquakes and stuff like that, luckily I was in an area that was pretty sheltered from all of that, being in like kind of like the Mediterranean Sea, like it's kind of secluded from other like weather events and stuff like that, which is really nice. Beautiful area. I recommend it. You probably won't see it on this trip unless you're going to the Hiroshima extension.
We are.
Beautiful, perfect.
Yeah.
So you'll get to see it flying past, but you definitely want to take a look out the window because it's beautiful there. And let's see what else. Okay. That's me. I'll leave room for questions at the end. Oh, also the note cards I handed out. If you have any questions on topics, anything that you want like clarification on, specifically like for our next class, go ahead and write that down and I'll take them up at the end so I can make sure we've got everything covered and answer all your questions, as we go on. So talking about money, I don't know if you keep up with world economic developments, but for about the last 30 years, Japan has had a stagnant economy without much growth. And because of that, the yen has recently been going down, which is good news for us because it's a good time to be traveling from US to Japan because your dollar goes a lot farther than it would have before. Let's see. Previously, you could say 10,000 yen was about $100. And now it's changed so that 10,000 yen is about $68. So if you're going dollars to yen, you're getting a much better deal there. It used to be like 100 to 1, now it's like $1 to 150 yen. So you're getting a big increase there, which is nice. And oh, there we go. Yeah, it used to be 100 to 1, now it's 150 to 1. So I've heard some news that they're trying to kind of get it back even, but it's not quite there yet, so you don't have to worry too much. And let's see, cash is still very commonly used in Japan. Cash is still king there. So if you kind of are used to paying with everything by card or like Apple Pay and something like that, it's possible, but it might not be available in every location. I recently visited London, never touched cash once. It's all tap, it's all card. great. Japan is very far from that. So if that's your expectation, you're gonna have to adjust it. A little bit.
Everybody knows Chuck Meinberger, right? All of your Roanoke County people, and he just came back from Japan this summer, and he said exactly the same thing. Expect to use a lot of cash when you are there. I mean, there are in the bigger cities where you can use the credit card, but definitely have some cash on hand while you are traveling. Okay.
Yeah, so cash-free options are becoming available, but it's not the norm yet. I would say there are like apps that you can use to pay at restaurants, but they're like Japanese only. You can only get them on the Japanese app store. It's a whole lot of hassle that cash will just avoid. So I do recommend it as a plus. And let's take a look at the money. Before that, I do want to mention, if you're worried about carrying a lot of cash in Japan, I would say it's not too big of a risk at all. A lot of people still make really large purchases entirely in cash in Japan. So someone might literally fill a briefcase or a duffel bag with money and take it to go purchase their car, their house, or like business acquisitions. They do it cash. So, you know, you definitely won't be carrying on the most amount of money of like the people you're just passing on the street, especially in Tokyo. It's a bit crazy. And you can usually expect, even if you drop your money or, you know, leave it somewhere, misplace it, lose it, it's not going to disappear on you. There's a pretty good chance that someone will like see it on a train or the subway, for instance, and take it to the office and say, I found this. So I've heard a lot of stories like that. I've heard stories of people leaving their wallets and coming back with more money in it. Like, you know, it might be a little bit of like an ideal situation there, but so generally you might expect that you're not too much of a risk. And also the crime rate is very low, so you wouldn't have to worry about like getting robbed or mugged or anything. It really is so uncommon that I've never heard of it happen. Of all the foreigners and Japanese people I've talked to, never heard of anything like that. There is a few areas in like Tokyo or really big cities where you might want to, you know, be careful, but you will definitely know when you're in a place like that. You can kind of get a vibe and say, maybe I don't want to take out my wallet and start counting my money here, but 99% of the country, you'll feel a lot safer. So let's look at the money now. This is what we're working with. So we got coins and bills. And because the yen is kind of like so low value compared to the dollar, you can think of, well, you used to be able to think of 1 yen as like a penny. So they don't really have, you know, smaller change than that. There's no decimals going into it. So you're just working with the yen. Their coins, I'll start with, and I have some here. Brought them this time. I have a little coin pouch. This is hugely important because you will end up with a lot of coins and a lot of change. So a coin pouch, you can pick these up. I'm sure you could find one here, but you could definitely pick them up in Japan at like convenience stores, at their dollar store called Daiso. We have some in the United States as well. Really great. I mean, these things, it's nothing fancy. It costs maybe $2. This part's about to rip, but the whole thing is really sturdy. And again, like this is just the change that I had left over. So we've got 100 yens. I'll pass this around in a second. I don't have any ones because they're just inconvenient. I'm pretty sure I like left them somewhere. Just donate them. You get a lot of those. So the denominations of the money are 1 yen, which you can see is this little
Silver one.
silvery. Yeah, it's really dull in real life. It doesn't have much shine to it. This is so small and so light, you can literally put it on top of like water. And if you don't break the surface tension, the coin will float. So it's a really light coin. And you get so many of them. Like I know people that will literally just like, you know, go to like the little tip jars and then dump handfuls of them just to get rid of them because you get a lot. And they're harder to get rid of because nothing is like, you know, exactly 1 yen or anything like that. Next, you've got the 5, which is like a little more gold. And it's got a circle through it. You can see the 5 and also the 50 have circles on them. So the different like shapes and sizes and colors all help you kind of distinguish what it is. If you're like digging through a coin purse really quickly, you can just be like, okay, I need like, you know, a big gold one, or I need like 2 circle golds like that. It's really, you get used to it pretty quickly with dealing with the money. So we got 1, 5. This bigger one here is 10 yen. And it's similar size to the 100, which is the next, or I guess 50. It's similar size to the 100, but you can easily tell the difference because of the color. Same with like the 50. It's similar size to the 5. And they both got circles, but the color differentiated. So you don't have to worry too much of like, oh, did I give them the right change? Are they like are they gonna give me the right change back? It's pretty simple like that. So we've got 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, and then 500. This is everybody's favorite. It's a really satisfying coin. It looks like it's solid gold and it's got some heft to it. So if you get a 500, you might want to hang on to those. Those are really fun. And then moving on to the bills, we've got 1,000 yen, 2,000 yen, 5,000 yen, and 10,000 yen. Most of these are really common. The 2,000 yen, it's kind of like a $2 bill. You won't really see it that often. If you exchange your money here and take it, your bank might give you some, or wherever you change your money. And then people will literally have like a reaction when you give it to them in Japan. They'll be like, what is this? Like some people have never seen one because it's like a $2 bill. It's just so weird. So look out for that one. You might actually get like a wow or something. They might like make sure it's not counterfeit. They're so rare. And a note on the money, besides the coins being like, a handful, we also have the bills. I only have 1,000 and 10,000 right now. So if you have like an American dollar with you, you can take it out as I pass these around and see that it's a different size. So like keep that in mind if you're taking a wallet or a billfold. If it's made like very close dimensions for an American dollar, this might like stick out. It might not close right. It's something to consider about that. So I'll pass some of these around. Oh, and also these are different sizes as well. They kind of don't line up. So it's a whole,
Okay.
Here, I'll pass these around. I'll just start with like bills on this side, coins on this side. Don't steal my money. I'm gonna need it one day.
I need it when he goes to Japan again.
So, and they're not like European bills that are like, plasticky and tear-proof. These can rip, so you gotta be careful. They're paper, so you don't want to put them through the wash. They're a little sturdier than $1, I think, so they're not gonna get like ruined. But this is the money that they're working with. Yeah, so yeah, take your time looking at those. They're I wish I had more, but it's just what I ended up with like when I came back from Japan. That's all.
So does the bill size get bigger the bigger the quantity, like the amount?
Yeah, they do, because the 1,000 is smaller than the 10,000. I wish I had a 5,000 to show it. And then the 2,000, I don't ever think I've seen one in person, so
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to talk about that.
But sizes do change for each of the denominations.
Yes, yeah, but either way, they're all still like taller than $1, but like shorter. So it's all, something to consider. Like I had a normal wallet and it would always be sticking out, and then like the tops would get worn out. So if you like, you just don't want to see that, it like irks you if something's like all mangled like that. Something to consider when to go.
Perfect.
Which one is the one that you said was so light?
The 1 yen, I don't think I have any in there.
Okay, I was just checking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I literally just left them all to like whoever moved into my apartment.
Oh, are those the same?
Yeah, they're the same. I think the one on the right is just shinier, but they're both 5. They have the same symbol on the back.
Okay, so you've got like a light tan and then the gold and then the bronze.
Yeah. Yeah, so the 5 yen is like the small, it's between brown and gold, because they get dirty with the hole in it. The 10 is the bigger one with no hole in it, and then the golden one is 500. I guess there's
Trying to
not.
make sure I got scolded by a shop owner in Salisbury because I didn't have my readers and I couldn't see the 20.
Yes, yeah. I once I looked at British pounds, I was like, this is dumb. They all look the same. I can't read them. Yeah. I couldn't see it with my glasses on. I was like, what is it supposed to be? So this one should hopefully be clear. And they've all got their numbers on it somewhere. Although to be fair, I think the 5 only has the number in Japanese, which is this symbol here. That means 5. It's not showing the other side, and I don't know in my head if it has an actual 5 on it. Like,
Okay.
so going from the money. Let's talk about katakana, which is the writing system. So if you look in front of you, you should have that chart. That is the katakana alphabet. I say alphabet in quotation marks because it's not exactly an alphabet. Like technically it's a consonant and a vowel combination. So there's syllables, but we can call it an alphabet, and that's basically correct. If you're taking a look at it, you can see that they all kind of have a similar look to them, right? They're all straighter lines, not too many like overlapping curls or anything like that. So that makes it a little easier to distinguish which one you're looking at. Katakana is often used for foreign borrowed words, and we'll see some examples of that a little bit later. But it also has some other uses, like to emphasize a word if it's sometimes like food words, animal names, stuff like that. Once you see what Japanese looks like on a page, you're going to understand why they have something like this, where the different words are represented with different types of characters, like different alphabets, so that you can actually read it, because there's no punctuation, there's no spaces, and it's foreign language, so it's hard to like see it. But once you've got that, it helps a lot for reading particularly. And because this katakana is like the simpler one, it's the first alphabet that children learn. So when I was teaching, I have like first, second, and third graders that could only write in this thing. So they'd write their names in it, they'd write like full Japanese words and sentences with it, which makes it impossible to read when you only use one alphabet. But it's good news for us because it's the first one you learn, and it's pretty easy to pick up. I would say for hiragana, which is the other kind of simpler alphabet, and katakana, you can generally learn them through just like, repetition in about a month or a few weeks for each. I think if you have something like, I was gonna say hello, talk about started. Duolingo, something like that, and you're kind of drilling them over and over again. I'll just have one like that. Just have a thing that you can
Yeah.
see. I know.
There's the faces.
Oh, okay.
You hold it up to the light, and it's like when you're like the hologram thing, that line that you can only see. So it's not counterfeit.
That's good. That's how you know now. Check. Okay, take a look at the second.
Let's try some reading.
Yeah, so we might have a little bit of a challenge there. You've got them in front of you, and hopefully we can work through some of these. And then it's also the words in front of you. You've already worked through them on the worksheet. Oh, there is, sorry, I talked about the three. So there's katakana, which is the first one you learn, hiragana, which is the second one most people learn, and that one is a bit curlier or curvier. It looks more like flowy than katakana, which you can see looks a bit blocky and
Closer to Chinese.
Yes, yeah, they're kind of based off of Chinese characters, but then simplified and then reworked, over centuries to become hiragana. And then there's also kanji, which is literally just Chinese characters, and those are really complicated. By the time you finish high school in Japan, you need to know about 2,000 kanji characters, and that's like what you need to be able to read the newspaper and stuff like that. So, and it takes basically the full 12 years of school to get to the point where you can read it like that. So no rush on those, but hiragana and katakana are much more manageable before kanji. So there you go. This should be the same one, unless I like got my file search. So
Did I print enough for everybody?
I think that there's still an extra.
yeah, you should get that. So just looking through this chart, you can see that they got some base vowels that stand alone. So A, I, U, E, O. And they are pronounced A, I, U, E, O. So if you were familiar with with vowels in Spanish, it's more like that than they are in English. You've got A, I, U, E, O. And then as you go from left to right, you're adding different consonants to make the whole syllable. So you've got A and then Ha, Sa, Ha, Na, Ha, Ma, Ya, Ba, Wa, and so on, so forth. And the way that people will like drill these when they're studying in Japan is you do kind of go all the way across, or more likely you go down and then over to the next you go a, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, ka, chi, tsu, te, to, and then all the way across. So there's 47, I think, or 46, I think, for each one of these. But there's a lot more when you get into combinations and then the ones with a little addition. So if you see over here, these have got like quotations, like 2 dashes on the side, and then these have circles on the side. So that changes the vowel sound. No, sorry, it changes the consonant sound and keeps the vowel. So if you look here, we got ha. If you give it the 2 lines, it becomes ba. And if you give it the circle, it becomes pa. So this kind of comes from their similarity when you're speaking them in your mouth. And the lines represent a similar change in what you're doing with your lips and your tongue for each one. So for instance, we have ka. Ka is close to ga. So then that one gets, they're related sounds. So that's kind of how they're represented here. And these can be tricky. So if you can learn like the base ones in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this will take you maybe another week or 2 to really get down which one you're looking at like instantly, and also the pronunciation of each. Like you can see here, we might have 2 different ones. So G and D are both represented with that character because there isn't a closer approximation in Japanese for either one of them. The same with like, we've got wa and also ba. So if I'm talking about Virginia, I could say like Virginia with this one. So it'd just be like that. I have a friend named Dylan, so when he would have to write his name, it's the D sound. So it's not any of the other ones, he comes out to D, but then they would say it like G, so his name was Jidan, like that. So you get kind of, with names and stuff like that, you get close approximations, but it might not be exactly the same. If you like Pokemon, the Pokemon Eevee is in Japanese, they can't get the V quite like that hard, so it's called the Eevee with the VWI. So it's kind of like that. You can kind of see where like the Japanese accent kind of carries over because there's just some sounds you can't really make the same way. For instance, if we're talking about like the R's and L's are close, and a lot of Japanese people actually can't hear the difference if you say a word like a rabbit. They might hear it or pronounce it like rabbit, but for them there is no like strong L sound or strong R sound. And if you're like a very native speaker, you don't even really make a sound like that. It's like a different R, which you'll hear once you hear a native speaker. Oh, and at the bottom here, we've got combinations. So this is where you start getting more complicated sounds that are combining 2 different syllables into one and then dropping a sound in the middle. So for instance, we've got, these are let's spot. So this is food. Can't find it. Food. So it's food or food. Again, that's kind of a sound where it's in the middle for Japanese native speakers. And if you wanted to add the ah sound, you can't really find a different one. So you go food, ah, ba. And they work like that. So you've got like ni and ah. So ni here. And then you could add ah, but then it becomes niya. So to make it a little bit shorter, they go ni and then ya. So ni ya, ni ends with an I, ya starts with a Y. So when you put them together, they kind of become one sound of the I and the Y, and it's nya. And that's how these other ones work this way. It's like you drop the middle sound and combine them into one. So hopefully that makes sense. But it takes a lot of practice to get these down. And the easiest way, well, I won't say the easiest way. The most common way to learn is just repetition, like flashcards or different like programs, apps on your phone or on your computer that you can like just keep getting repetition and hearing, and there are some really good ones that there's one called Anki, which is an app on for your computer. I'm pretty sure it's available to your phone, but you might have to like pay for it, so I wouldn't recommend that unless you really want to. Anki, ANKI, is an app for your computer, and it's really good because it'll give you flashcards, and they can have audio, they can have like links to click to for more information. But the program itself is it spaces out the words depending on how well you know them. So if you're like, oh, I have ace the first 5, the first 10, it doesn't show them to you as often, so you can focus on the ones you need more help with, and that. So I'll make sure to provide some info, a link to that after class, or after today. So let's give it a try. Looking at some words. These are some common katakana words that you might see just around, like, in public when you're walking around Japan. So if you've got your worksheet in front of you, it's the same ones in that table. You want to try. I'm gonna take a look at reading that. So we'll give you guys a minute to take a look, and then we can start. Sorry, I was gonna say, so try to read it if you can in the katakana and write it, how you think it would sound, and then in English what you think the word is. And there are some tricky ones here only because some of the words look so similar. Some of the letters, sorry, look so similar. Those are the trickier ones. So these words sound like they're English. Yes, for the most part, these will sound like what they are in English. Once you've got it, what it's supposed to say, you can kind of guess. I just started with some difficult ones. Right up here in your chart, when you get to a dash, like just a straight line like that, that just means you're extending the sound at the end of that. So that line on the fourth one. This one? Yeah. So it means you kind of extend the vowel sound at the end of that syllable. So it becomes like. Well, I'll give a hint. This one ends with the syllable with the vowel sound E. So you just go like, instead of saying E, you go E, and it just kind of gets longer. It's really important when you're talking, you should include it.
I'll try.
Practice really helps on these once you're learning, because if it's difficult now, it's going to be a lot more difficult when you're waiting in line with the line behind you and you're trying to read it in order. But sometimes English menus are available where you can do stuff like that.
I remember when I'm laying in bed and then I thought during COVID, when I was like in my room kind of bored, I was learning Japanese and I didn't know why like I knew like basic animals, phrases, stuff like that.
You have to pick it back up.
Okay. I'm sorry. You don't have to know the other thing, like it's not. That was really boring. I don't necessarily have a study on the specific and I can see the definitions from the both. No, no, wait, no, 40. So second class. You can't have that block. Yeah, I do have a study on that one. I don't know if you guys are gonna have any details, but. I have Burton on already, but I would prefer not to be myself. Everybody else. I know, I'm fine with that though. So, like, salad. Salad. What is without?
It really did say, it didn't sound, it really didn't sound like it.
Now. Sure.
Did you say something? Yeah, that's new. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna butcher all of these words too. It's finally really funny. It would be funny to just like go like speak any language, but it's such a heavy frequency. Like, it's just so funny that it'll be. Oh yeah, stop. My favorite thing to do. Suki, that's me. We got a school and then I was leaving. Well, it does have that. Yeah.
Take off.
Like good.
I'll do a go to the Lord. It's not there, the words that are, that would sound like the English.
Most of them.
You know, the last one is giving her.
No, the last two, the second one.
The last two are words you'll definitely know. But probably not in the Japanese one. Closer to home. They're tricky. Give everybody like another minute and then we can go over the map. If you don't finish any, that's fine. Some of them get tricky. You might.
It's like it's the last one. It's like, I'm trying to use your kid, but like.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're gonna kick yourself. It's definitely a word that everybody
Never
knows, but it's just like sometimes it's like you don't get the right. Um,
I know how to not have it fully there. I know how to not be prepared to when I like something to do nice and so. You don't have to. I know, it's weird. I know when she would be with me. She would be with me my whole life, so she didn't have the. Not shy. No, they felt like me. Oh, I don't like college.
Okay, so let's go over these and see how you guys did. I know that one of the harder parts is knowing where to put like a gap because there are no spaces. So the pronunciation doesn't quite come naturally, just reading. There's a lot of factors. So if you want to look at the first one, I'm sure everybody know this one. What do you guys think is the first one?
Coin,
Yes, coin.
coin.
So as we talked about money before, you'll see this one a lot. There's a lot of coin laundry, coin showers, stuff like that, businesses. And then when you're in a store, you see this, now you know where to put your money. So this one's really helpful, coin. So yeah, it's the this one looks a lot like soul. But that's why the chart's helpful. They look so similar. So coin, coin. Very similar to English, basically the same pronunciation. There.
What's the second one?
The second one, what do you guys think? This one's difficult. So the first one is su. Su na ma yo. So tuna mayo is tuna mayo. Which is the number one flavor of onigiri rice balls in Japan. So if you want to have, like the classic, when you go to the konbini, the convenience store, look out for the tuna mayo. So you see, they kind of shorten things, and tuna isn't always tuna. Like if you go to a Japanese restaurant, you might see like maguro or something like that, like sushi. But when it's just like, ground up, what do you call it? Canned tuna and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's tuna. Also related, the third one. What do you guys think for the third one?
Chicken.
Yes, so it's chiki, which is chicken. So you can see they don't have the e, or they do have one, but they don't go for it. So it's chiki. And another name for tuna, we say like tuna is the chicken of the sea. If you went in Japan and asked for a sea chicken, they know you're talking about tuna. Somehow that cultural little like part is carried over, and they know that sea chicken is tuna. See, number 4, what do you guys think? Nakushi. Yeah. So this one is difficult. You can see the tsu and this look very similar, but this one is shi. So it's takashi. Takashi, and that is taxi. Taxi. And this is literally written on the side of the car, so now you'll know which one's a taxi, which one's just a regular car.
What is that line mean? That steady line?
Yeah, you get the like the E at the end and you just make it longer. So if it was just taxi, that might be someone's name, like Takushi, right? But it's got the Takushi, that's not anybody's name, that's a taxi. There's that the line's helpful, like knowing where to put emphasis. It's really difficult to nail.
You put it down at 5 eyes, right?
I think 2 covers it, usually. But I would say if it was like a, what is it, like a tilde, like a swirly line, you would definitely expect like a really long. That is used in Japanese writing, like a tilde to say that you're really extending that one. So let's see, number 5, what do you guys think? Yeah, that's right, so it's a bus. If this was a circle, it would be passive, which is like, like in sports or anything like pass. But 2 lines, so it's bus, bus, bus. So that's good to look out for. Obviously, if you see a bench and a sign, you're gonna know it's a bus stop, but it'll also say bus on top. So there's no confusion there. So next up, we've got number 6. What do you guys think? Ice cream. Yeah, so we've got ice cream, ice cream. So if this Japanese in Japan, it's a little bit weird. Like if you want a popsicle, that one might just be ice. Ice. So there's a different word that means ice. But if you're talking about a popsicle, you might call it ice. But it's like, it got brought over from foreign countries, so we use foreign word. And then cream, when you go ice cream, that's what you're talking about, like the milk-based, scoop thing. What about this next one, number 7? It's supposed to be like soft serve? Yes, exactly right. So soft cream is soft serve. So that way you kind of know what you're getting. I would say that soft cream, the soft serve, is much more common in Japan than normal ice cream. For some reason, just like every tourist attraction, in Kyoto and everywhere, you'll see soft cream a lot more than you'll see ice cream, which I would say is like the opposite here. There's definitely a lot more ice cream than soft serve. Yeah, so, and good job on that, because there are so many complicated ones here, like soft, sorry, so looks like she, or two looks like she, so you got me confused. And it's just about the differences here come down to the stroke order of the word, of the letter. So if you were handwriting it, you would do like, I think it's top, long line, and then the 2 strokes top to bottom. But if you're doing this one, you start from the bottom up and then do that. So if in handwriting, it's kind of easier to tell because you can actually see how it was written. But that's the difficult part about learning, is that you're usually learning off the textbook and they can't quite recreate that. But once you get, really into learning Japanese, eventually you'll have to learn the order of which each stroke on everything. So like, it gets really complicated. Basically, there's a whole order and a system of rules to know which way you write something. It's always like biggest line, top to bottom, right to left, and then so on, like that. It's not good. And once you get into kanji, it's impossible.
Huh.
Oh, so let's see, number 8. What do you guys think over there? Hotel. Yes, hotel. So it's hoteru. Hoteru is hotel. Useful to know, so you can find your way back. And then what about, let's see, number 9, what do you guys think?
Coffee.
Yes, very good. So it's coffee. Coffee is coffee. If you go up to somebody and you ask for coffee, they might know what you mean, but if you hear someone be like, oh, here's your coffee, it's close, but that's as close as they can really get with the words. Also, some of these don't originally come from English to Japan. They might come from French, Spanish, German, Dutch, things like that. So they might be slightly different, but close enough for an English speaker to kind of put it together there. Coffee, I'm sure coffee was brought by probably the Dutch before any English speaker ever even got to Japan. So let's see, number 10, what do you guys think for this one? Salad? That's right, so it's sarada, which is salad. So the reason we've got that extra at the end is because there isn't just a D by itself in Japanese to make the D sound. So sarada. Like that. If you watch Boruto, in the Naruto sequel, the daughter's name is Sarada, which is, her name is Sally. So next, number 11, what do you guys think for that one? Taco. Right, taco, taco. What do you guys think that is in English?
Taco?
Ooh, actually, it's octopus, right? It's octopus, yeah. So that one is written katakana, and it's often written katakana, but it's not actually a foreign word. So that's more like one where they use for emphasis and for style. So taco. If you see it on the menu, don't expect to be getting, a tortilla. You're gonna get octopus chopped up into bits. So that one's helpful, just as a warning. The next one, we've got taco soup. Taco soup is tacos. So that's the difference. They've made it plural exclusively. It's always taco soup. So because you can't have just one. But very important to learn that difference there. You're gonna go to a restaurant and see taco and think perfect. I'm tired of seafood, and then you'll get a big bowl of lots of something. So it's really important to learn that one. Let's see, number now 13. What do you guys think?
I have no idea.
Oh,
You said it was.
sorry, that is tricky. Totally slipped my mind. When you've got, so this is a two, but it's really little. It's smaller compared to the rest. So that kind of serves the same purpose as a dash. You don't say it, you just add an extra sound. You elongate the sound in front of it this time. So we got suda, ba. It extends the next one. Ku, su. We've got sudabatsu, which is
Something
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
No. Starbucks. So in Japanese, Starbucks is Starbucks. That's true. There's Japanese coffee brand, there's coffee, stuff like that.
But there is Starbucks in Tucker that I really do like.
Oh, yeah. They do have nice ones like the roastery, stuff like that.
I don't go to Starbucks.
The
too.
garden.
I wanna go to.
I would say there is
I don't know.
luckily a shortened version. You can just say Starbucks. Starbucks. People know you're talking about Starbucks, It's like that. I don't know. Is there something in English like a shortened version of Starbucks? Starbucks, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like that. You don't want to say Starbucks. That's too much. Starbucks. Okay, so the next one, what do you guys think? 14.
I don't think many of us got to that one.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. So
But
we've got ma, ku, do, na, ru, do. And McDonald's. McDonald's is McDonald's. But just like Starbucks, nobody calls it that. Nobody says McDonald's. So in most of Japan, it's Maku. Maku. So they'll say, "Oh, let's get some Maku."
The only country that doesn't shorten McDonald's.
Yeah, some people do. It's Mickey's or something like that. Well, I will say, if you're in like Osaka and you say Maku, they won't know what you're talking about. McDonald's there is shortened to Makudo. Makudo. Just I don't know. Osaka is like it's kansai, it's trendy. They don't, they like to make up their own slang. So instead of saying Makudo. So really, hopefully these come in handy on your travel.
All right.
Oh, okay. So moving on. We've got a little bit of time, so I'll go through quickly.
Yeah, we do have another meeting of travelers coming in.
I'll just make it quick. So the upcoming holiday is Tsukimi, which means moon viewing. Tsuki meaning moon, and then mi with means viewing. You can see here, this is like a kind of ceremonial or decoration of rice, not rice balls, rice dumplings, like pounded rice dumplings like mochi. And then on the right, that is supposed to be the moon with the rabbits on it. And they're making mochi. And that is a Japanese, like urban, or not urban legend, like a Japanese legend or myth that on the moon, there's a rabbit that makes mochi. That's just what they do. And it comes from a story of like a rabbit was very generous to some like old man. It's the same as Greek. The old man is always Zeus or something like that. So the old man It's like, oh, thank you for being so generous, rabbit. As a reward, you get to live alone on the moon and make mochi all day. So just like the Greeks
Everybody's
never get,
favorite.
nothing is unpunished. Yeah, it's like the guy in armor. Yeah, it's like the moon's made of cheese. It's one of those. So, oh, I did want to say it is on from September 29th to October 2nd. That should line up with the full moon, and then that's perfect for moon viewing. So it's coming up kind of soon before our next class.
Mhm.
So this is how it's written in Japanese. This letter here is hiragana and it sounds o. And o is just an honorific way to make something sound more fancy. So it's everybody would call it tsukimi, but you know the official name is o tsukimi. So this is the kanji character, and you can see some of the other alphabets. So this is hiragana, the kanji character for moon, and the kanji character for eye. And you know, if you kind of squint and tilt your head a certain way, maybe you can see how this one looks like a moon and this one looks like an eye. It's tricky, but that's the way that helps you learn kanji like that. So moon, eye, moon view. So it's an autumn kind of harvest festival, and it's celebrated during the full moon. And it's kind of very specific. It's like the second full moon of the month in autumn, like it's a harvest moon kind of thing. Often you would offer like sake in a like ceremonial cup and then not drink it, just kind of leave it there. And put it with prayer for good harvest. So this goes way back, like all the way from, I think it's borrowed an influence from Chinese traditional holidays or festivals as well. So the little dumplings we saw are called skinny dango, and they're served like with taro, which is like a root vegetable, kind of like a really mushy potato, edamame, you know, you call them green bean things, chestnuts, other seasonal foods like sweet potato and pumpkin, all of those like traditional to eat from this. There's also like traditional, not ramen, but soba and udon, which is kind of like a normal slate, but you crack a raw egg on it. It's just it's better with the raw egg, yeah. But the raw egg's supposed to look like a full moon. It's you know it's white, it's bright, and that comes there. And a lot of restaurants will have like a special seasonal menu for this, because obviously you know you got to make money for the holiday, and you can see that. So the soup, soba, and the restaurants. So this is McDonald's. This is the McDonald's Steamy Festival menu. And McDonald's in Japan is well known for having like really like special menus for everything, and they're always really good. So these just say like steamy muffin, it just says muffin, steamy burger. All of these is like they add egg. But you know, why not? This one, the special one, it's called the Noko Tori Skimi, which is the rich, melty skimi burger. So there's cheese like baked into the bun, and it got some sort of sauce and some extra cheese. Looks really good. They've got the cheese, it's just that with cheese. The fries, these are like you put all the fries in a bag and then add a powder and like shake it up. That's really common at McDonald's in Japan. And these are yuzu 7-spice mayo flavored. They've always got to throw in a little mayo. So you're gonna shake that up, and it's gonna taste like there's yuzu, which is a citrus, 7-spice, which is like you know like Asian spice blend, and then mayo as a flavor. So worth a try. If you see a seasonal item like at McDonald's, I would say it is worth your time to try it, even though it's like just McDonald's. They've got the pie. It's tropical pie. So it's a pie with red beans, which are like a sweeter, savory bean, and then like a really gooey mochi baked into the pie. McFlurry, same kind of thing. It's got like mushroom powder and like that, but it's all very sweet. Trust me, it's good. And then the milkshake as well. It's the same thing. It's like mushroom pumpkin flavor or something. So there you go. And they're all really affordable too. Okay, and then just to finish up, if you have any questions, anything you want to see covered, or any specific goals you have for like this class, for the trip, and you want to share that so we can work towards that, go ahead and write it on your index card. And then I can incorporate those into future lessons. And then for next time, I would say, practice your katakana. If you want to like look through these words or look up a list of other words to practice. And maybe you might see some in the wild. Like I know I see shirts all the time that will just have some Japanese on it. And I take the time